Hello.
Oh, hello. Um, wow. Wow. What a 3.5 days this game has seen. Um, in the past few rankings, we've started by breaking down what happened in the week. I literally don't even think that is worth it or possible because there are so many, I feel like it's actually easier to just talk about what each person did when we did their rankings because everything is just flipped upside down and around and then flipped back up again and then one more time over. The shape of the game is so interesting and exciting and it's a mess. It's a mess first and foremost, but it's fun. Um, before diving into this week, I feel like we need to talk about the double eviction a little bit because we didn't get to do that last rankings.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um, so in the double, Ryan won HOH, went to backdoor J, and did that flawlessly and successfully. That in and of itself, pretty mundane, saw it coming. The most crucial thing that happened at the double eviction was, I think, if the double wasn't a double and there was a full day to campaign and figure out who you wanted to vote out, I think Jay actually stays. And I think Liz is out of the game right now. Um, because there were more than a few people that started to be like, we're just doing what Ryan wants. I don't know if Jay going home is best for me, but because it was a double, there wasn't enough time to gather forces, see where other people's heads were at. The vote was 6-3, and I think there were two other votes that definitely would have kept Jay had they known. So all that to say though, Jay is gone in the pre-jury phase. Goodbye. Um, And yeah, now we move into this mess of a week where, oh my God,
Crazy.
I'm trying to think of weeks in the past that we've done rankings where I think numbers are literally going to flip
Mm-hmm.
where they're at. Um,
Deserved
I let's just
on both
dive in
sides.
and start talking about this mess of everything. My God.
Abby. Oh.
Oh yeah, Abby's also gone, but we knew she was going. Um, we knew we didn't talk about her going, but we knew.
On the rankings, we were like, we don't know who's gonna go. We don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, we said Abby's going unless Michael shits the bed, and he nearly did, but not quite to the extent of him leaving. I bet people wish they got rid of him now. Um,
Anyway,
anyway,
Andy.
Andy. Okay, Andy. I would like to issue a formal apology. Because last week on the rankings, I said I'm giving Andy a 6, but I'm never gonna raise higher than that because Andy is not the type of player to do anything actively. She's just gonna sit there and let her allies leave and be dumb. And immediately after saying that, Andy said, you know what? Let me rat out this majority alliance to the other side to put myself in the best middle position because I'm not a fan of Ryan just taking out the people that he wants to, and it's not best for me, and I need to shake things up. Andy, I'm sorry. I take it back. You ate this week. Um, she, Andy was the jumpstart, the spark. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Was the reason for this entire flip happening. Andy went to Tyler and was like, or maybe it was Julia first. It was Tyler and Julia, both, but maybe it was Julia first. Either way, yes. Oh my gosh. Rewind. I remember what happened now. Julia got on a call with Ryan after the double and was like, listen, Ryan, I'm with you, but I need you to be straight up with me. Is there a majority alliance that you're in that I'm not a part of? If there is, that's fine, but I'd like to know because I'm with you. And Ryan was like, no. Like, of course I've got people I talk to, but no, there's not like a group or anything. And Julie was like, okay, I'm gonna believe you, but I'm letting you know that when I was talking to people about the vote, there were way too many people that were way too decided on Abby leaving very quickly. And that doesn't track unless there's a large group of people talking to one another. Ryan was like, I mean, yeah, I don't really know. And Julie was like, okay, I'm gonna trust you because I'm a straight up player. And immediately after, Andy calls Julia on her own volition and is like, hi, Julia, I just wanted to let you know that Ryan started this 5-person alliance between me, Ryan, Sarah, Broken, and Danny. He's had targets. He wanted you out during the HOH. I'm not about it. I would have no one suspects that Andy was the one to do this. Ryan, Sarah, Brogan, Danny all still fully trust Andy and think it was someone else that ratted. Some people think it was Brogan, some people think it was Danny, some people think it was like Ryan. It's a mess, but no one is suspecting Andy because I think she is the least, based off of how she's played so far, is definitely the least likely person you'd ever suspect of doing anything. So kudos to Andy. I was at a 6 last week. I will definitely be raising my score. I'm going to raise it to a 7. I think Andy is sitting in a very nice spot. I'll be curious to see if she continues to play actively or if she melts back into the shadows until things like aren't suit for her anymore and then she makes another big move. That's kind of where I'm anticipating Andy to do. I don't think she's going to come out as this big power player guns a-blazing all of a sudden. I think it's going to be we did this big flip. I'm going to let that play out. And then as soon as that's not convenient for me anymore, we'll do something else. So, but I'm impressed and she's in a very good spot.
I'm going to be going up to a 7 too. Um, I think this really shows, which I love to see, how quickly people can move up and down. And that's what the whole week is going to show, I think, in this rankings. But Andy was also someone I was sure of that, like, was really quiet and really took a back seat for the first 4 weeks of the game, 3 weeks of the game, whatever. And this is the week where she kind of finally showed that she's a player here to win and wanting to win, which is great. And I'm sure that I always have that faith in people. So I'm glad that Andy has showed it this week. One of the reasons that I'm not up, one of the many reasons that I'm not up to an 8 is she decided to vote to save Ryan in this eviction, which I know we're not going to talk too much into next week at all, but I think was an unnecessary risk that she maybe didn't need to take. She didn't need to do that. I think she was trying to pin the vote on another person, but I think pinning votes on people in this type of Big Brother game is very precarious. So I'm interested to see where Andy goes next, but I worry for her after casting a stray vote and casting a pinning vote.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. The other reason I'm not up to an 8 for Andy for me is she made this amazing move that benefited her game, I think, 10 times over, and is definitely going to give her more longevity. But what's interesting about it is she made this move and gave the other side like the info that they needed to make a move. And now I feel like that other side is like more united as a group, but not necessarily with
With
her.
Andy, yeah.
Like and like Andy's in it. They're not targeting her anytime soon, but especially after this vote, especially because they were all closer with each other before. Andy's in a very solid position right now, but I don't think she can be like, I made this move and now I can coast for a bit. It's like, no, girl, you gotta stay on your toes. And I think she will. I think she is, but yeah, very solid position. Very good move by Andy this week. Interesting to see how it'll play out for her.
Yeah. 7 for Andy. Woo! Okay. Ava.
Ava. Okay, so Last week, the game was definitely in a state of there are two sides, the majority and the minority. And if you're in the majority, your score realistically is not going to be below a 5. And if you're in the minority, even if you're in the best spot in that group, you're going to be sitting at like a 5 as well, 5 or a 6. Now the sides are a bit more even, especially talking about the game of this week when Ryan was still in the house. The sides were much more even, and instead of it being like you're in the majority or you're in the minority, it's like you're in a good spot on your side or you're in a bad spot on your side. So last week I was at a 4 for Ava because she definitely was losing standing with a lot of people. Um, and she didn't recover well from losing Zach. Um, I am going to be raising my score this week for Ava because I think her side is now the winning side. But compared to everybody else on her side, I'm not going to be raising it too much because she is still very much on the bottom of her side. I think a lot more people are united. I think Ava is very expendable to people. She's not really in it. And not that she can't get back in it, but it's not happening for some reason. It's not quite anything of her own. It's just like these groups are forming around Ava and they're talking about like, oh, well, like Liz is with Ava, or like, oh, I've got a good relationship with Ava, but she's not being brought into anything, which I kind of find surprising. Um, so I'm gonna be raising my score, but only up to a 5. Um, and I think she's got time, but she's not someone that people are talking about taking out. She's just still in a precarious spot and definitely on the bottom of her side of the house. And is, I think, the least connected person on her side of the house. So I just worry a bit for Ava.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up to a 5 too. Um, I also think that if the other side were to win HOH, Ava is someone that's easy just to throw up next to another person, just because she doesn't
Yeah.
have a lot of connections. But I'm really interested to see the trajectory of Ava's game now that she's on a side that has taken out a number. I feel like we could see more of her and more confidence growing in her. But she definitely needs to start being included in some more things slash forming some more things with herself. So, 5 for Ava this week. Someone that will not be going up.
Let alone not going up. I think this is going to be, I'll be interested to look at past rankings and seasons. I think this is going to be the biggest drop since the James Bowl pitfall of season 5. Um, my God, Brogan fucked it bad. Um, this was horrible in every regard.
All while thinking that he's done a great job.
King got so overconfident in his position,
And like,
and and like listen, he should have been confident in his position last week because he was doing great. And now this week, first Andy of course spilled the beans, so that jumped him down a few pegs. Then Brogan got so overconfident that he could push his own agenda onto Liz, who by the way is not on his side. So that bumped him down another peg. Then he started openly campaigning to try and get the numbers for Ryan. That dropped him down another peg, and he literally, and then like started like shit talking some people, which I think dropped him down another peg. I think Brogan has lost nearly every close ally that he had heading into this week. He had Andy, Danny, Sarah, and Ryan, especially Sarah and Ryan. He had Michael. He had Liz. Um, that's that's what, 7 out of 12 people. That's like that's a majority of people that you have close. He had Max and Julia. He literally had all these people. I forgot about that alliance as well. He had all of these people. And now everyone sees him as the biggest flop rat dumpster garbage person and they want him out of here. Um, and it's because of his own doing. He was so overconfident pushing to Liz to put up Julia or to get rid of Danny or to not backdoor Ryan and was annoyed at Michael and was doing all these things and now everyone wants him out. I was at an 8 because he was at the best position in the house. And now he, aside from the person who went home this week, will have the lowest score of the week for me. It's going to go down all the way to a 3, and he's lucky it's not a 2, but I think there is some salvageable relationships with some people that I can't give him a 2. It's going to go down all the way to a 3 though, and that's not good, to be very clear.
No. Yeah, he was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just convinced Liz to put up Julia. Like, this is basically my HOH. And Liz is in her diary room, like, what is he talking about? Like, he is trying to convince me, and I don't want his advice. So, he kind of went Delulu, stupid idiot this week. And I don't see.
Stupid players.
Dude,
Stupid players.
I really should get a Big Brother soundboard. Oh, that'd be so funny. Um, I'm gonna go with a 3.
This was so bad.
I almost want to change my ranking from a previous week too. Be like, "Beep."
Wow, he fucked it bad. This was bad.
This
This
is
was
probably the
0%
biggest
good.
drop we've seen.
Let's look at the graph.
Hold on, I gotta refresh.
No, yeah, this is really bad. Here we go.
Oh,
Boom. Yeah, that's bad. Um, Not a good spot because of his own doing. He got so cocky. I mean, we just said it's just stupid. Stupid. You let it go. And
players.
then even when things started to blow up in his face, there are some people this season, like Ryan, like Julia, that have been like, if things start to blow up in their face, they're able to pivot. They're able to be like, yes, that was a thing. Totally my bad. I was doing it as a thing. Like, let's not pretend like we all don't have alliances, but like, I didn't mean it to be like I wasn't coming after you or anything. When Rogan like got called out on certain things, he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, the jig is up. Everyone knows. You not owning up to it is making it 10 times worse. Down another peg. Those are the 5 points going down. Not knowing that Andy exposed it, thinking that he could convince Liz to go after Julia, trying to not get Ryan up on the block, campaigning for Danny to leave, and shit talking people that aren't doing what he wants. And not owning up to things. 6 pegs. Maybe I need to go down to the 2. This is just not good.
All right, Danny.
Speaking of not good, um, I'm over it. Danny, bye. I'm done. I've had enough. I'm full. I'm full. Um, no, I don't want it. I don't want it anymore. I'm done. Um, so Danny, this whole game has respectfully done nothing. In terms of like actively playing or talking to people. And yes, as Danny so kindly pointed out to everyone, talking is a two-way street. But when everyone else is talking with one another and the conversation isn't continuing with you, it feels like you're the side of the street that isn't streeting. So what gives? On top of that, this is my favorite. There's always one of these people, at least one of these people per season, where they don't do anything. And if you look at their conversations, they don't talk to anyone consistently. And then when they end up on the block, they're like, oh, because we don't talk? Yes. Oh, because we're not in an alliance? Yes. Like, why are we surprised, Danny? Why are we surprised? You didn't talk to Liz. You don't talk to Liz. and you're in a majority alliance without her. Why is going up a surprise? Like, how could this possibly happen? Um, and then of course, when they do go up on the block, not freak out. Like Danny, to Danny's credit, like did campaign and was like, I want to stay. Yada yada. Like sometimes these people have gone up and are like, it's ridiculous that I'm up. Vote me out. This is stupid. Like Danny didn't do that. Um, but Danny didn't like campaign like well either. So I just think a lot of people like if it wasn't Ryan up on the block next to Danny, I think Danny like would be the boot because people are just kind of like annoyed after this week by Danny, I think. So yeah. On top of that, even within Danny's own side of alliances, like Sarah and Danny aren't that close. Now Ryan's gone. Danny knows that Brogan was actively campaigning to get Danny out, and Andy ratted out the alliance in the first place. Not very good. I don't think Danny is an active target of anyone's. And if anything, I think Danny, now knowing that the 5-person alliance was ratted out, is pivoting a bit to be like, okay, fuck that. I want a new group. And that I think is good. So credit. So credit. But that hasn't pulled through yet. And I'm not confident in Danny's ability to text often enough to make it happen. I'm going to lower my score to a 4. And I think Danny's the player, unfortunately. And again, there's always a few of these, at least one player like this per season that like starts at a 5 because they're in a fine position. And then that 5 becomes a 4. And then that 4 will become a 3. And then that 3 will become a 2. And then Danny goes home. So we'll see. But yeah, it's this type of gameplay is no longer going to get 5. So we're at the jury phase.
No,
So
I'm at
4.
4 too. Especially now because she's been nominated, and she had no idea that she was staying. Like that's really bad. If you don't know that you're staying, that's worse than if you don't know if you're going. To be honest.
Danny
So
just didn't have any grasp on the game. Because they don't talk to people. It's giving Nicole in season 12. That's what it's giving. It's giving, thought you were in the majority alliance,
yeah,
got ratted out. Everyone is making plans without you. You go up on the block because you didn't talk to people. You're like, I don't talk to people. You don't talk to me. No, because you don't respond either. Like everyone's talking to each other. So let's get a grip. And then doesn't have any allies to turn to as support. Yeah, like this is, it is giving, it is giving me VSS 12 Nicole. That's what it's giving.
all right. Big Brother SS will be back after these short messages, and we're back.
And we're back. And talking about, I think Julia next. Julia. Julia. Okay. I feel like I'm buffering when I try to talk about Julia because there's girls doing the most. Girls doing the most. And normally I'd say that most is bad and not going to work for you. The most is kind of similar to, I feel like, how we've seen, in all honesty, Molly play. Where, but it's like, I say that this is, oh no, I know Molly's going to find this and clip this, and I don't mean, this is like, Julie's doing what Molly's doing if there was like significant strategy behind it. Like, no, I didn't. This is not Molly's not supposed to be catching strays right now. But so Julia, anyway, Julia is doing this thing where she gets a piece of information and then immediately confronts the person that information is about that information. And typically, I'm like, why are you A, letting go of information when these like information is power? So you letting go of it means that that information is out the window. Um, and B, confronting people on it typically I feel like it's just going to divide you more. And that hasn't necessarily been the effect. Um, which is interesting. Because, like, for example, Andy found out about the alliance, the 5-person alliance from Andy. Instead of being like, okay, heard, we need to come up with their own side and just take a shot at them, Julia went straight to Ryan and was like, I know you're lying to me. I know about the alliance. So what's up? Which then clues Ryan into the fact that someone leaked the alliance, that Ryan needs to start doing something, and that Julia might be against him. Ryan, in that conversation, though, was like, yes, there is an alliance, yada, yada, yada. It's with Michael. Michael wants you out, and here's all the things of Michael. Okay, Julia's then like, oh, interesting. So then Julia goes to Michael and is like, so I heard you wanted me out during that double. And Michael's like, what? And Julia is like, yeah, I know this. And Michael, who folds like a towel, um, is like, yes, you're actually 100% correct. I really wanted you out. I'm so sorry. I totally get if you hate me and you want to evict me next round. Okay. Um, but then he was like, but I think we should backdoor Ryan because of XYZ. Julia then, when she heard that Brogan was coming for her, went to Brogan and was like, oh, so you're coming for me? Heard. I'm gonna blow up your shit now. Like she's such an active player. And normally, again, I feel like it's messy. It's messy when I don't feel like it needs to be, but it's not working for her, which is why I'm like I my gut still tells me that this style of gameplay is only going to set her up for the short term, and I think is only revealing her threat levelness and isn't securing her good, strong allies. But at the same time, doing this has positioned herself to the point that I think she is in the best position in the game. So I don't know what gives. Um, it's so impressive, but it's so precarious, and I'm just confused. I'm going to be raising my score for Julia because ultimately it is paying off for her right now. However, where I once was considering going up to the 8 for Julia, for me, I'm only going to go up to a 7 because my gut really just is telling me this is only going to blow up in your face in the long term. This feels like it's good short term, and I don't know where the long termness of it is because everyone sees you as a threat. Everyone's starting to see you as a schemer, as untrustworthy if you're just going to blow things up. It's precarious, but right now it's paying off, and maybe it will continue to. And if it does, I'll raise my score further. Um, Maybe I'd give her an 8 if she didn't complain so much about our scheduling. Miss Julia.
Anyway, I'm gonna do a 7 too. So we're at very similar scores this week.
I was about to say that. I was like, look at us being on the same page.
Julia, I think, is a dominant force in this game, but that is very dangerous going into the jury phase of the game to be a dominant force. I think very rarely do we see people who are the dominant force at the beginning of the jury go on to win the game. People who are winning the game are usually the ones ready to sweep up the crumbs after the big player leaves the game. So we're gonna see what happens. But
Yeah, I'm trying to think back, like what dominant forces went on to win the game. I mean, actually, recently, Joe and Eric are probably two. Well, Joe wasn't a dominant force. Joe was a known force.
I mean,
Eric was Eric was a dominant force.
yeah, Will no,
Will no, Dakota
Dakota
no.
was no,
Not
Kristen.
at this point. No, at this point in Dakota's game, this is when things blew. Like
Yeah.
Eric and Dally, and yeah, Dakota was not at this
Kristen,
point.
no.
Grace,
Wait,
no.
no.
Dalton, no. Not like
No.
out in front dominant.
No.
Lily
Really?
was
Yeah.
unknown force, kind of similar to Joe. Like Lily and
Mhm.
Joe fall into the same category.
Sean,
Sean was
yes.
certainly not. No, are you kidding me?
Well, Sean was like the big enemy. I guess that's not the
Sure,
same thing.
but not
That's
a
not the
known
same thing. That's not the same
force.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maeve,
Um,
no.
James, yes,
Yes.
but people were just dumb.
Juliana, no.
Joanna, no. Aaron, season
No.
2 was a good season. There was a lot of forces. And
Emma.
and Emma, yes. So great. And now, so so
Okay.
yeah. I'll be interested. Yeah, Julia. I just feel like someone's gonna want to snipe her at some point,
Yeah. Oh,
and maybe that person's me. Moving on to Caitlin. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Julia is placed on a watch list.
Listen, if she didn't complain about the schedule, maybe she wouldn't be on my snipe list, Miss Julia. One thing about me is if you complain about how I run the game, I'm gonna give it to you back in the rankings.
Which like five people did last night. Three people complained about the schedule. One person was like, "This is a dumb twist." I'm like, "What are you doing here? Like,
I'm
leave."
like, okay, and you're a dumb player, dumb player. What do you want from me? Anyway,
Okay. Kaylin.
speaking of, no, I still adore Caitlin. Everyone, I, everyone, so everyone's on FaceTime, and like when people are on FaceTime, and like at least when I'm there, like people will be cheeky and like be like, "Oh, Scott, like you better not be rating Kaylin high. I hope you like you definitely hate her because she's not doing anything." A newsflash for everyone: no, Kaylin's my favorite. So Kaylin is literally my favorite. Queen
Anyway,
of we send a text saying you only need texting for the HOH, and then immediately after she goes, "So is it on Zoom?"
no, I think she meant because you
No.
said it was a live eviction.
A live vote and eviction, which is what the fifth one we've done, and not a single one's been on Zoom. Okay. And then you only need texting for HOH. We send the rules. Okay, so is there going to be a slide presentation? No, there's not going to be. There's
Oh,
not
she's my
going to be a
favorite.
slide presentation. Um, when we send the schedule and like we're saying like nominations at 2 p.m., her immediately being like, boys, I told you I had a conflict. Caitlin, girl, you're not the HOH. You don't need to be there. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm like, we're still learning. We're still learning, and I love her for it. Um. Anyway, Caitlin has had fives for the last like two rankings, I want to say, and I'm gonna just come out with it. I'm staying at my five again. Um, because her position isn't a bad one. She's in a constant state of people needing to need the numbers. I said this to Sean actually because I was talking to Sean about Caitlin because obviously, um, actually I don't know if that's obvious, but it's obvious to me. So I was talking to Sean about Caitlin, and Sean was asking me, was Caitlin wanting Ryan out a good move for her? And my stance on the matter is, it was fine. I don't think Ryan or Danny going home as individual players were either good or bad for Caitlyn. What Caitlyn needs in this game, though, is for two dominant sides to exist. And I think Ryan staying here means that that side is much more dominant and definitely exists more as a formalized side to the point where she is in the middle and is a piece for people to pick up. Now that Ryan's gone and that other side has kind of collapsed, and now we're getting a much more middly mushy, don't really know what's going on with them side. I worry that after, like, say, for example, if Brogan leaves in the near future, like, I don't think that Danny and Sarah and Michael are enough of a side for Kaylin to continue to exist in this fine position in the middle. Um, However, right now, it is still fine. There's talk of this third side forming between like Max, Danny, Kaylin, and Julia. Should be really interesting, actually. And I think that would be good for her. But yeah, I think less so than needing specific people in the game, Kaylin just needs there to be sides fighting one another. And I think Ryan going is a blow to that concept, but also you need players like Ryan out of the game if she wants to win. Um, I'm out of 5. Looking ahead a bit for her, there's the there's the split veto twist coming up. That I think is going to be her biggest hurdle. I think all of a sudden, if you're in a group with 5 people, she becomes an easy person to just be like, so that's what I think her next biggest hurdle is going to be. For now, it's still a 5. I'm not feeling down on Kaylin at all. Certainly not a green score.
I'm 5-2. I love Kaylin. I love Keelan. She's my favorite. Actually, I don't know if that's true, but she's my favorite.
No, she's not my favorite either. She's my favorite in my heart.
No, because I think that might be Liz. I think Liz might be my
No,
favorite.
Liz is my favorite in my brain and my gut and my soul and everything else.
But I love Kaylin. Um, but I think over like we said this before, but Abby leaving, I don't know if it was like the worst thing for her.
I
Because
think it was an actively good thing for her.
Abby has still continued to give her the emotional drive to keep going, but is not holding her back in the game. So, which is great.
Abby was never holding
Not
Kaylin back,
holding, you know what I mean.
but Kaylin was consistently like, and then also bring in Abby. And people
That's
were
what I
like,
meant. She's holding her
no.
back. Yes, that means she's holding her back.
Okay. Then yes.
Um, I don't know how much more we're gonna get from Kaylin, but maybe Kaylin will rat out a majority
No,
alliance and
I think she's gonna continue to give. I think now that her brain has been like enlightened to like what the game is, she's like this. It was so funny where it's like week 1, you couldn't get her to say anything. It was like, sorry, I'm gonna be busy during the comp. I'll try my best. And now it's like I said in a conflict for the nomination ceremony, you can't do this to me. And I'm like, come on, Flip, come on, 180.
okay. All right, Liz.
I love Liz. Liz is my favorite. Liz was the last pick in the draft, and that just goes to show that we don't know what the fuck we're talking about during the draft, unless you're me and you always pick the winner. But Liz, not deserved to be that last one remaining in the draft because Liz is giving us everything. Let's start in the diary room because that's always my favorite segment of the rankings. Liz continues to give. She's so generous. She gives all the time. I'm sure, I mean, many of them will be in the episodes because I'm sure she'll be all over the episodes these last few weeks because she just continues to give. Now let's talk strategy. Yes, get a good read of the house. She heard from Andy, hey, there's this alliance. Liz was like, perfect. We need our own group. Hey, Tyler, you also hate everyone. I also hate everyone. We're going to be best friends now. And that's been great. Then she's talked to Julia, gotten on the same page as her. Then she's talked to Andy. Now they have a 4 group. She's also super tight duos with Ava. I think that's great because like Liz is the person that is closest to Ava, and I think Ava could be, if she sticks around, a crucial piece moving forward. And like her loyalty is always going to be to Liz. Her move this week, putting up Danny and Max. Actually, a bit suspicious. I don't know if putting up Max was the best move because I think Max, I mean, maybe it was. Max is a sneaky snake, but also not really. I know he is. But Liz putting up Max made me worried that people would vote out Max over Danny if it came down to it. On the whole, clearly it worked out. Not like I'm not gonna fault her for the decision in these rankings because Max won the veto. She stuck to her ground. She put up Ryan, and sent him home, which was fantastic for her. Ryan's put her up twice. I think a lot of people in this position, like this was like Brogan's main argument to her. She was like, if you put up Ryan, I don't know if we're gonna have the numbers to take him out. And if you make this move and you don't know if you have the numbers and it fails, like you're in a shit position with him. I don't really know if it's worth the risk. And Liz, which like not everyone has always done this in the game, and it always blows my mind why not, smartly was like, Ryan's already put me up twice. If I put up Ryan and he stays, newsflash, he's already put me up twice. I'm not in any more danger than I was before if this move fails. So there's no harm in Liz trying. And Rogan was talking out of his ass when he thought he had the numbers to save Ryan. And Ryan went home pretty easily. There was a few hiccups, maybe a moment there, and we'll talk about that soon. Oh yeah, diary room incoming. Yeah. Frank for the big fan of yours. Start being nice in here. Well, maybe these people should stop being so fucking stupid. Speak on it, Liz. Oh, love her. Love her. It's so like, listen, it's so I love when you can like track who knows who. And the fact that she's friends with Wick and Dan makes sense in all of the best of ways. Like, she is the perfect third in that like triumvirate of people. I mean, I guess Kristen is, but like different. Um,
Triumvirate.
no, I love Liz, obsessed with Liz. Liz is giving me everything. However, I mean, I was at a 4 last week. Stephen was at a 5. I will certainly be raising my score. With that being said, though, I think when it comes to the other side's targets, I think Liz is still reasonably up there because of this move. And I don't think she's in the best spot of her alliance per se. However, I think her side is winning. I will be boosting my score a significant amount. I was at a 4 last week. I'm going to go up to a 6 for Liz because I'm feeling good about her spot, but I do think it is one peg below where a couple of other people are in terms of their standing with the majority of the house. So 6 for Liz, positive score,
I
period,
was at a
Liz.
5, and I'm going to go up to a 7 for Liz. I think she had a great HOH week. She kept her allies safe. First of all, she made the first correct step of knowing who her allies are, which
Yes.
some people don't even know that. So that's great. Liz is great on that front. She used the HOH, and she successfully got out the person that she was trying to get out for weeks. I'd call it a great HOH. I think moving forward, she'll have some hurdles with some people, but I think Liz is here to stay. And I'm going for a 7.
Well, yes.
6.5. Cool.
Deserved. Oh, Liz is my favorite surprise of the season. Like, there are the people that you knew would be good players, were gonna play well. Liz was not one of those people that we were expecting.
Well, we had to like fight to get Liz on the season.
Now that like, just round of applause for Liz. You 8, and by that I mean you 6.5. Okay.
Mac.
Max. Ooh. So I wish I had anything new to say about Max, but Max continues to just be seen as this sneaky player in the middle that no one wants to work with. And I'm like, deserved, but not entirely, only a little bit. Max, I don't entirely get why people don't trust Max. I mean, maybe it's because Max lied about his vote about being in the minority and all that stuff, and fair. Actually, no, that's why, and that's his fault. But he's kind of existed in this middle spot, but a middle spot that no one wants to work with him and everyone wants to target him. Evidence of like the Sarah Ryan Rogan side being like, Max is a sneaky snake, we can't count on his number. But then Liz and Julie and Tyler being like, let's put Max up because he's a part of that side. Like, he's just in a precarious middle spot. He was on the block this week, for second week in a row. Won the veto second week in a row. Coming out as a threat. I think people are now noticing Max. And I don't think anyone wants to pick him up and like ride with Max for a long time. I'm gonna be lowering my score to a 4, and only to a 4, because he does have many routes forward. Um, there was talk last week of this third middle side forming, and he was kind of the charge of that. He went to Julia and was like, listen, we just heard about this alliance. It's so clear that Tyler, Liz, and Ava are together. We need to form our own middle thing. And Julia was like, yes. And of course, Julia being Julia then went to go tell Tyler, Liz, and them was like, hey, just so you know, Max thinks that you're a group and is trying to form a middle side. I'm still gonna do it to put myself in a good position, but I just wanted to let you know. I'm like, Julia, why? Anyway, back to Max. Max, if this middle side forms, that's good for him. It's also gonna be full of people like Danny and Kaylin, who will be, what's the math? 0% help. That's right. And Julia, who either won't want to rock with the middle group or will and will demolish all of them. So I don't know. I just don't think it's I just think yeah, I don't know. I like Max a lot, but it's just his position is weirdly slipping, kind of because of his own actions. I can't even put my finger on exactly why it's not working for him, but it's just not. Anyway, 4.
Yeah, I'm 4 also. Um, it's just like people don't want to. Nope. Oh, people are not gravitating towards him and wanting to work with him. And he's been on the block 2 weeks in a row, and he's on the veto 2 weeks in a row. But it's just, I feel like he's just biding time. So we'll see. Not looking great for Maximus. Okay, Michael.
Michael. I'm trying to think of this whole game, what Michael reminds me of, and I finally hit it. It's a wet towel. So Michael, I'm kidding. No, that was a joke. That was a joke. But Michael is like, King. What? Um, this week started off so bad for him, and then it got okay, and then it got so bad again. I he here's what here Michael, here's what I don't get. Here's what I don't get. Here's what I don't get. Michael, and we said this before, is the king of like, I'm scared screenshots are gonna be sent. I don't want to get screenshot of this. I don't want to like give anyone any concrete feeling as to like where I am in the game and yada yada yada. But then is the number one person that is like, do you want me to send a screenshot of that? I can prove it. I can send a screen recording. Do you want a screenshot of that too? It was only one message, but I'll send a screenshot. So like that in and of itself, I'm just like, what? Um, 2, I think getting rid of Ryan this week was so bad for him. So bad. Because Julia came to you and was like, so I know you're concretely targeting me. So what's that about? That should have been the sign of like Michael needed to like really work to get Julia out. Um, Instead, it was like, okay, I'm gonna fall to Julia's side and rat out Ryan, who actually is the main reason why he's like still in the game, I think. And like wasn't booted pre-jury. Um, I don't know. I just think this is gonna sound like it's like a read, and maybe it is, but Michael's just playing, in my opinion, like this scared rat floater game, and he's just gonna run to whatever power to just not get exposed for anything that he said to make it as far as possible and work. Like maybe you'll make it far. I just don't see what Michael's like winning chances are. Um, and it's still early. We're still only we just finished the pre-jury, but I'm just like, Michael, I think he's got a good head on his shoulders to read what's going on in the game, but we just can't be afraid to do the things. Instead, we're just running to the people that have the power at the time and being like, I'm so sorry I was targeting you. I promise the screenshots were not me. That's not what he's saying. I don't know what to
He's
say.
like Peter Pettigrew.
Oh, ha. What?
I don't know.
Okay. Like
I was gonna pull up
Voldemort's
a picture.
sidekick?
I was gonna pull up a picture, but then I realized that would be not what I was intending to show. So never mind.
Um, oh, yeah. Michael, I'm just like,
He's like, meh. You know, you were saying the same thing.
he's just running to power. And like that could get him evicted next week. It could get him to the finale with 0 jury votes. Either I just don't know I just don't know what path he's got to the end. Because again, I don't know who wants to work with Michael. Um, I was at a 4 last week. You were at a 3. I'm gonna stay at my 4 because flops get 4s. I mean, we've been saying it for years now.
Yeah, and not that I have any reason to warrant going up on Michael, but I feel like maybe I was too low last week potentially. But he's not in as poor of a spot. Like, I don't even. How do you even rate the player like this?
Right? He's not in a spot.
Yeah, there is no spot.
He's existing in the ether.
He's existing in the context of. He did just fall out of a coconut tree.
Yeah. Oh, Michael. I like literally this is why I'm so confused because I'm like he's just saying things that I don't think are good for him to be saying. And then he's not saying the things that he should be saying out of fear that he'll get screenshotted when he's the one perpetuating the screenshot narrative. This guy said love screenshots. Um, I'm surprised it hasn't gotten them in more trouble. Um, yeah, 4.
Yeah, I'm at a 4 as well. 4 from Mike Hall. Wow, lots of people converging at 4s this week. Okay, Ryan.
Wow, 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 wow.
The fall of
This
the
wasn't
Empire.
unexpected. This is definitely a path that could have happened.
Yeah.
Um, as it did happen. Um, I what's interesting to me is I think if we did rankings directly after the double eviction last time, Ryan would have gotten a 7 last week. I think I would have been closer to a 6 or a 5. Um, they have 7s last week?
Yeah.
Huh. Um, Ryan, last week we saw his position begin to slip a little bit. It wasn't anything bad. Um, and this week just a nuclear bomb was taken to his game, not to be confused with Armani Diaz's alliance from season 7. Um,
What did you say?
I said a nuclear bomb was taken to his game, not to be confused with Armani's alliance from season 7. Um,
Watch season 7 because like so good.
listen, this I mean, quick side tangent from Ryan. This is the first we're back in the golden era 789. Like 789 and 15
I
giving
don't know if I'm ready to give that title yet.
no. I agree. There's still a lot of going to happen, but like compared to 11, 12, 10, 14,
14, we were pretty high at this point.
that's fair. Um, yes, but we weren't as high on as many of the people.
No, there's some rankings where we're like, so like pretty much almost all of these people could win the game. At the first jury, we said that.
Yes, but to go back to what we just said, they exist in the context of which they're in at the moment. And I feel like if you take up, for example, players like no shade, Jackson or Kayla or Emily
True.
or these people that don't do a ton, when they're all on a season together, their like power of like doing well becomes that 10 times more. With peace and love, if we put Kayla on this season, when people are doing a lot more, she's not as impressive. If we put Jackson on this season, king of afraid to say anything, far less impressive. Emily was never that impressive, but so just food for thought. Anyway,
I tried.
the season's been giving the excitement and back and forthness and drama and fun. Like I'm having fun with this season, which is like it's giving season 9 in that way for me. It's just like chaos a bit, but it's organized. It's more organized than 9. 9 was levels that we'll never be able to reach again. Ryan, back to Ryan. Ryan went home. Um,
Speaking of Ryan, and then I said, "You're causing the cavity."
and then she said, "What? Like I don't know." It was
And she's like, "Yeah," and then she just like kept going with the conversation. Like I
like I
guess.
guess y'all are seeing these chats. Also, y'all scared if I try. Yes, this is
Oh,
giving
roach
everything.
just fell in my food. I wish I was the
I
roach.
wish I was the roach. Girl, what?
PB
I don't
comic,
know.
PB comic, the roach.
Um, no. So Ryan. Um, he put up a good fight. I can't like he made the big moves knowing that this was a possibility. Unfortunately, the possibility happened. Big moves are dangerous. It really set him up. He was setting himself up in a really good way. I think if Julia was the HOH, I think if Tyler was the HOH, this wouldn't have happened. Unfortunately, they both threw to Liz for this exact thing to happen. So yeah, his game was just blown up. His game was blown up really badly, and the people that blew it up were smart to do it because he was in the power position. Um, I'd love to see him come back soon for maybe a season where people get a second chance, but who knows what's on the horizon. So, Ryan, unfortunately, this week will get a 2 from me. He put up a good fight. The vote almost flipped, maybe. It was closer. No, actually, hold on. I'll say this. I think Ryan should have stayed this week. I think if everyone was smart about their individual vote and not necessarily the context of which they are, um, Ryan should be staying here. I think it was smart for Sarah. I think it was smart for Brogan. I think it was smart for Michael. I think it was smart for Andy. I think it was smart for Tyler. I think those 5 all should have kept Ryan. I think Kaylin also should have kept Ryan. That's 6 people. The only people that this was smart for were Liz, Max, I guess because he's closer with Danny, um, Julia because Ryan was like really catching on to it, Ava because Ryan put her up. Like those 4, sure. Um, but I think people should have wanted to keep Ryan around for the same reason that people wanted to keep Jay around last week if they had more time. I think Ryan is going to cause a divide. I think a lot of these middle players will be able to slip by if Ryan is still here. But granted, it would have meant Danny going, and she was a middle player. So who knows? All to say,
Yeah, I have to do it too as well for Ryan.
yeah, he just went home. Like,
Just went home and yeah, big drop, another big drop. Oh, yikes. Okay, Sarah, no longer talking about them as a duo.
So Sarah, first of all, still bestie. Love her. If anyone comes for Sarah, I come for you. Don't try it. Um, but I'm gonna come for Sarah now. So, so Sarah was like afraid in like the preseason that like, no, I can't watch the rankings because you're gonna rank me poorly. And we're like, no, you're not. You're killing it, Sarah. You're doing the best. 8, 7, 8. No. Sarah has lost my vote of approval, and that makes me sad. Let's get the obvious out of the way. Ryan leaving, bad for Sarah. Not good for Sarah. 0% beneficial for Sarah. Um, I think with Ryan leaving, as well as Andy being the one to rat out that group, the glue of it is gone. And now Sarah is left, in my opinion, for the first time in this game, directionless. Um, what also I think, not necessarily her fault. I don't know what y'all's schedule has been the last couple of days, but notably, weeks 1 through 3, she was constantly just like up in people's messages, even if it's just like talking, checking in. People always felt good about Sarah. And
I think it's unrelated to work.
this week it just disappeared. She just disappeared a bit, which like full support of you do you. Do what you got to do. Like I'm never gonna be upset at someone for like taking a step back. This game is a lot, but it definitely has affected her position. Um, I think that she is not. I think her and Ava are in similar positions now, and I see them as the mirror opposites of each other on their respective sides. Where they're not the main target for the group for like the opposing side, and I think they could be. I think both of them could be scooped up if they make it far enough. But I think they're both likely pawns. I think if the target wins, they're both likely people that are like, oh, well, if we can't get this person out, we can always just take out Sarah. Um, I just think, I don't know, I just think her spot was really blown up. And it makes me sad because she was killing it before. And because she was killing it before, I don't doubt that she could get back to killing it, but she's got work to do. Um, Unfortunately, I'm gonna be dropping down to a 4 for Sarah. Because I said she's the mirror opposite of Ava, but I think her side is losing significantly. And in all honesty, it could have been a 3 as well. But I just don't think she's as disliked as Brogan right now. Oops.
Um, I'm gonna go for a 5 for Sarah. I think that there are still a lot of people on the other side of the house, namely Tyler. Tyler has really expressed his liking for Sarah, so I think that she's got some friends out there. Dangerous with a mutant veto coming into play. Um, More likely than not, she could be seeing the block this week. But I do think that if it's Brogan and Sarah on the block, Brogan is going home.
I
So,
don't think it's not going to be Brogan and Sarah on the block.
I mean, we didn't know who the HOH was at this point.
No, yes. Oh, sorry. That's not affecting my rating. Um,
No, I'm saying like I'm making my comments based on not knowing who the HOH is. I think
Heard.
I think
Even not knowing who the HOH is, with the mutant veto being the twist, I don't think there's any world where Brogan and Sarah are on the block because if one nom gets saved, both get saved. And I think any HOH that
okay,
wants to target that side is like,
split
I'm
up.
gonna put up Sarah and someone initially. That way, if the veto doesn't get used, we still have Sarah. But if it most likely does, we can then put Brogan back up. But if you put them both up at the same time, they can both come down, and that's bad.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm going to stick with my 5. I think Brogan. I think that side's going to play for Brogan to go home.
Our noms in 3 minutes.
Are they?
Yeah. Can we just say they're 115?
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's do this quickly because I got to get my laundry and leave.
Awesome. Tyler. Tyler continues to impress me.
Hmm.
And I very much get why people were saying preseason, like, watch out for Tyler. I think Tyler is the example of like what we were saying earlier about like Julia, the big out there players typically aren't going to be the ones to win the game. It's going to be the people that are there to sweep up your mess after. I think Tyler is the one that will be there to sweep up her mess because he is keeping such close tabs on her mess. And Julia's number one right now is Tyler. Um, and to be clear, I say Julia's mess. Julia's mess is really working for her right now. For all we know, she could continue to run it and great and good for Julia. We're just saying in the past that typically won't happen. Um, and Tyler, I think, is in the position to swoop in and fix it. Um, I think Ryan going this week for Tyler was not good for him, though. I think he should have kept Ryan around. And granted, if he does that, it fucks with his relationship with Liz. I get that. There's no perfect solution. He was in kind of a tough position. But I think Ryan was definitely far more beneficial for him than Danny, who he was fighting with and is targeting him and like all that. With that being said, I don't doubt that Tyler will be able to be like, okay, Ryan is someone that has to go and I need to rebuild. And like now seeing his relationship with Sarah is like, okay, he's doing the work to still be good. Um, he's not a target for the other side though. I see him and Liz in similar positions. I think his position is slightly better. Um, but yeah, Tyler's just in a good, solid position with a lot of people surrounding him, but definitely not people are out there that are targeting Tyler. Um, I think Tyler needs to bide his time and wait to like strike at his own group when the time is right. I was at a 6 last week for Tyler. I think I'm going to stay at my 6. I was considering a 7, but I need to see how he rebuilds without Ryan there. If Ryan was still here, I would have been at like an 8, I think, actually. Um, but definitely still green and solid and good score.
I'm at a 7. I think I'm gonna go up. I think Tyler is in a great spot. I think that while it was a bad game move to keep Ryan, I think he was doing more for entertainment to get a rise out of Danny.
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
Um, so I don't want to like clock that for like solely being a bad game move.
Oh no, I don't think. In fact, I don't think it was a bad
I'm
game
not
move
saying you
at
were.
all. I think getting people to, I think getting a rise out of Danny. I think he knows that Danny isn't going to be able to do shit to him. Danny is the least of his concerns.
Yeah, I think he's in a great spot moving forward. I think that Tyler's gonna have a real shot to win this game. So 7 for me. All right.
Cool. That's the week. We are now in the jury phase. We've got some cool vetoes coming up that I think will change the strategy of what happens each week. Um, Next week we've got the mutant veto, which we already talked about, which I think will lead to not being able to put two people up on the like you can't just put your top two targets on the block because they both could come down. So definitely precarious. I think some different people could be hitting the block because of it. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right. I gotta run. Peace.
Bye.